I just scored this beautiful Arctic Cat Jag 3000 from 1979 for free 90 free, aka $0. How does he do it? Well, it doesn't run. As you can see, we've got an absolutely pristine example of a Jag 3000. This thing was kept in mint condition since 1979. Absolutely nothing bad ever happened to it. Actually, I am impressed by the seat, though. There are a few, there's like a little spot right there, but dang, that seat is actually in pretty good condition. Let's take a look at the engine bay here. So the Jag 3000 has a 340cc two-stroke, pull start only. I think they sold it with a battery, but this one doesn't have that. The main issue we have here is that this one doesn't run, and it doesn't run because it doesn't have spark. It seems to have compression. I haven't done a compression test, but you pull the pull starter, and it gives you that ugh that you like to hear. Now I did already start poking around in here to try and figure out what's going on, and so I have done a little bit, but this is more or less how I received this thing. We got bare wires that are just twisted up. There's no tape or anything on these. I think that's probably because someone was troubleshooting this. I don't think that that's just how this thing was running for years. But we got some aftermarket heated grips going up here, and those wires are just all twisted up. I put a continuity tester on the kill switch, and actually the kill switch was failed in an open position, which would prevent it from running. It would prevent spark from happening. But that wasn't the whole story, because I bypassed the kill switch and I still didn't have spark. But now the kill switch really doesn't work. It just flops in the breeze here. And we've got the kill switch guts here, which I had to destroy to remove, but they were broken anyway. I also have the old ignition coil here, which I removed because I tested with a multimeter and it seemed to test bad, and then I trimmed back the spark plug wires a little bit and I was able to get a reading, but it wasn't the right reading. So according to our manual here, the ignition coil, the primary coil on a Jag 3000 should have 0.22 ohms. So let's get that in a place where you can see it. And we're 0.4. Okay. The secondary should have 5.8 thousand. Now the first time I did this, I'm not getting a reading now. The first time I did this, I couldn't get a reading at all. So I said, that's it. It's a bad ignition coil. That's the answer. Wow, I can't get a reading now either. That's crazy. But I have gotten a reading out of this. Let me see if I can get a reading out of this. Dang, I'm getting nothing. Oh man. Wow, okay, I'm getting nothing. I'm surprised because I trimmed these spark plug wires back at one point and then I got a reading, but it was 8,000 ohms, and so it was higher than what was called out. And anyways, after I got the false reading the first time, I ordered a new ignition coil, and now I'm not getting a reading now. Now these spark plug caps are supposed to give us 5,000 ohms of resistance. So here we've got plug cap, resistance, Jag, well, they're all the same, 5,000 ohms. This one can't get a reading. And the other one can't get a reading. I have gotten a reading out of one of these, but not the other one. Now I can't get a reading out of either. Okay. Look at that. 6.2. So it's high, but hey, we're getting a reading on this one, and it's positive. That happened quick. And again, nice positive reading, 4.3. All right, put the stuff on. Oh, we got good strong spark in both of these plugs. That is awesome. All this wiring is still open and crap though, so let's finish fixing up the wiring. I think I'm gonna have to clean the carburetor, but maybe not. Let's just fix the wiring and try and start it. Alright, so that's all the ignition stuff. Still have some loose connections here, and there's some down here. Oh. Some of these we don't really need. And actually, the ignition switch, this has got some taped connections. Maybe those are fine. Maybe we just leave that alone. But these wires are way longer than they need to be. Couldn't help myself but to check out that taped connection. Dang it, dropped that wire. Glad I did though, because that was crap. The way I like to do this, like I have to extend this wire, right? Strip the coating back, twist the wires so they don't come apart, put a little hook in them, do the same thing to the wire that you're going to splice in, and I hook the two together, and then bend the hooks nice and tight. Maybe twist them up a little bit, and then solder that joint, and then put tape or heat shrink around it. And once that's soldered, those hooks aren't gonna be able to come open and pull apart. And the solder just creates a nice electrical contact, a good joint. I think that's the best way to do this kind of thing. All right, let's see if it'll give us any love here. Plugs are wet. What? Oh, I got no spark. Must have did something wrong. Well, this is aggravating. I checked all my connections. We've got good connection everywhere. I triple checked with the wiring diagram to make sure I wasn't doing something stupid. Everything seems to be right. The only thing I haven't replaced at this point is the CDI box. And even though I just had spark, I feel like it's got to be the CDI box, right? So I hate just throwing parts at stuff without really knowing for sure if it's wrong, but I don't really know if there's a good way to test this. So I'm just going to order a new one. I mean, this thing looks pretty crusty. Yeah. In the meantime, you know what else looks crusty? That gas cap. This thing is falling apart in more than one way. Doesn't have the anymore at all. And the O-rings are just disintegrating. Well, I'm going to have to adjust my wiring here because I've got a female connector here and I had soldered in a female connector here. So I got to replace this with a male one to match up with this. And then I could cut this wire and splice into it the way the old one was. But because this connector is intact, now I kind of want to try and save this connector. Oh my God. Okay, I don't even know why I tried this, but I just switched the key to the off position and then and then tried it. And I have spark. So I've been studying the wiring diagram here, and honestly, I cannot figure out what I did wrong. I swear I have it hooked up just like this. Yeah, I don't know what I got going wrong, but I also have a snowmobile over there that sparks. No. Dude. All right, I have good spark. The plugs, they smell like gas. They're wet. Yeah, they're wet. Oh. It's not even trying. Well, I took the air box off, and there's a little puddle of fuel in there, so I feel like we know it's getting fuel, but I already know the fuel that's in the gas tank is bad. And I think the inside of the gas tank is really dirty, so I knew I had to clean that out. Maybe the fuel is bad and it's not going to run on that fuel. I really don't want to dig into the fuel system right now, but you know what? That's what we're going to do. That's as fun as it gets right there. It doesn't get any more fun than that. All right, so like I mentioned, the fuel is crap and there's almost none of it. So, okay, not a huge surprise that it did that little stall out. So the next thing I have to do is still to tear into the fuel system, but it's gonna be way more fun now. All right, we got it warmed up there just to see how it would run. Didn't want to idle, but I adjusted I adjusted the idle air screw, and I got it idling okay. But we've got a fuel leak going on at the fuel pump right here. You can see all that drippage. All right, it's been a few days. This thing's still dripping. Look at that. These lines are junk. Look at this. They made this harder than it needs to be 2 different ways. First of all, this pump is riveted to the frame, so I can't just unscrew that, and I don't have rivets long enough, so I'm just going to leave it, right? So then, well, the next thing I got to do is take this top plate off because I want to change this gasket. Well, they used these anti-tamper torque screws with the pin in the middle. Why would you do that? You know you're going to have to change this gasket out at some point. So at least let this be accessible. So see, you got to use these Torx bits with the hole drilled in them. So I noticed I had some fuel leaking from around these threads too at one point, so I want to seal this up. Feels that feels, I don't want to tighten it any more than that. Now we're going to put on some actual fuel line. This stuff stays flexible, which is important. see this thing start without starting fluid. Shouldn't need to use starting fluid, but don't see any leaks. That's awesome. So the key to my success just then was this choke lever, which is mostly broken. I forced it to the fully open position, which I didn't realize that's not fully open. That's like the warm-up position. It goes further than that, and fired right up after I did that. Well, we've been having some beautiful weather here in Michigan, which is awesome. It's warming up a little. Sun's coming out, snow's melting. I'm thinking that's it for this snowmobiling season. But next year, we're raring to go. The old Arctic Cat here is ready to go. We're gonna be ripping it, we're gonna be yanking it, we're gonna be